Hi, so in this lecture we're gonna see the BIOS, the basic input output system IC. Here as you can see we have this motherboard here, we have the Super IO as you can see, here we have the BIOS, okay? Always you can find the BIOS near to the Super IO, okay? So this mark means the pin number 1 for the BIOS. So here as you can see this is the pin number 1, okay? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, okay? So as I told to you, the BIOS is usually near to the super input output IC, okay? So we're gonna see many motherboards in this course, okay? So for the BIOS, if you can't check it, when you power the motherboard, you should check the pin number 8. And of course, in the pin number 8 of every BIOS, 8-pin BIOS, you should or you have to find 3.3 volts, okay? Here we have another motherboard, okay? Where we're going to see another BIOS, as you can see. So this is another BIOS, 8-pin BIOSes, okay? So here, as you can see, we have the ICH, okay? And this is the Super IO, okay? So usually the BIOS, you can find the BIOS near to the ICH, okay? Or to the Super IO, okay? So usually these three components are near to each other. Here we have this mark means here we have the pin number 1. We have this dot here means pin number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, okay? So the same working principle. Here we have the pin number 8 where you should find 3.3 volt when you power the motherboard, okay? So the BIOSes in the motherboard have the same working principle, okay? Here as you can see we have another motherboards for an HP laptop. Here we have the BIOS as you can see. Always you can find that the BIOS is bigger than the MOSFETs, okay? So let's see the other side. Here we have the Super IO. As I told to you before, usually the BIOS is next or near to the Super IO, but in this motherboard the Super IO is in the back side of the BIOS, okay? So as I told to you, this is another motherboard for an HP laptop. We're gonna see many motherboards in order to master and in order to understand clearly, okay, the BIOS or the working principle for the BIOS. Here we have this white dot means this is the pin number. So this is another motherboard, okay? This is also for the HP laptop. Here we have the ICH as you can see, or the South bridge. Here we have the North bridge, and this is the processor, okay? The processor, the North bridge, and the ICH, okay? Here we have the SIO or the super input output. This is the BIOS, okay? Here as you can see we have this line, the white line here, okay, means this is, and we have this hole of course here means this is the pin number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, okay? So always the same working principle. And usually when you want to determine the place or the place of the BIOS in the motherboard, just look for the ICH or the South bridge and the Super IO. You can find usually the BIOS or always the BIOS near to the ICH or near to the Super IO. And sometimes these three components and are gathered in one place, as this example of this motherboard, as you can see.